But with that, Erin, thanks again, and we'll hand it over to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Mandy. And appreciate the folks in my breakout session. That was awesome. I also learned, I think we learned from each other. So I love the Zoom breakout rooms. I think those are just really fantastic. I am here today because I've just really been on this really cool journey of my own, centered around mindfulness. And I'm getting to the point where I really want to share it. And so I'm really happy to be here and hope that we will have some fun and really cool conversations here today. And maybe you'll take something away. Like Mandy already said, I'm learning something that I can take forward. So that's my intent and my wish for all of us here today. Just to tell you a little bit about myself and how I got here. For my job, what I do, I'm a lobbyist. I'm a consultant. I have my own company and a list of several clients. And so I'm in that political space, that legislative space here, just with our state legislature. Mom, 3 kids, husband, 2 dogs. You might hear some or all of them during this time. I will just give you the Zoom heads up that might happen. About 4 years ago, I really was finding myself in a spiral, but I didn't know what was happening. Until it got to a point where I was almost breaking. I couldn't testify in front of a committee, which I do all the time, without having a major full body, almost a breakdown. A meltdown, I guess is a better word, is a meltdown. And I just started realizing something is not right with myself. And so that's the kind of how I got to investigating what's wrong with me. And it turns out I found out I had an autoimmune disease that was really impacting my whole system, but also giving me a lot of increased anxiety on top of a stressful job and 3 kids and a family and all of that. And so part of me getting on the path of getting better, it was a lot of physical, and we talked in my breakout room, my self-care checklist is pretty long, but that's okay. I know I need to do those things to really make sure that I'm healthy, and I'm happy to do it on most days. But one of them was really focused on what is mindfulness, and it was one of my doctors that said, "Have you looked into mindfulness techniques?" And I thought, well, I can go to yoga, which I do and I love, but there's so much more out there, and that's what was really fun to discover. Is that it can be more with working with your family, or how you relate to another person. What kind of energy do you carry? Are there breathing techniques? So a lot of it is not just about physical, it's about what's going on up here and what's going on in here. And so that's what really resonated with me on pursuing this path for myself personally. And then I really started getting interested in how can this be brought into our workplace. And for me, my workplace is the Wyoming legislature right now, for what I'm doing. And I thought, what more could we do here? Certainly there might be some space in politics to bring in a little bit more mindfulness, and I won't expand on that, but right, what kind of energy do we bring to the table? How are we going to relate to one another when we're trying to think about what's best for the people of Wyoming? What kind of energy do we bring to that table? And so as part of my journey, I thought, I'm gonna put something together for the legislative session, and we'll just see what happens. And I was all nervous, so nervous, because when you're vulnerable to put yourself out there, it's scary a little bit. And I was a little bit scared to do this. I put out flyers that opened up what I called our mindful mindset once a week, just in the morning before all the chaos starts, before committee meetings really kick in. And it was open to anyone, legislators, lobbyists, staff members, governor's office staff, whoever wanted to come. And I was terrified that what if, everyone came? They didn't. It was just a small little group, and people did come. People came. And it was really fantastic. We sat around just a really kind of a cool little niche in the Capitol with a beautiful arched window, so we could just see out in Cheyenne with the sun rising. And we talked about how can we change that energy? And how can we impact how we show up during this time, so during legislative time? And what could that mean going forward? And so for 4 weeks, because it was a short session, we just did it 4 times. And each time we focused on something different, whether it's how you relate to another person, interpersonal energy that you bring, or the mind-body connection. So we had a different theme each time. And then we had a little takeaway, something you could work on during the week. And then we checked in before, at the beginning of the next session. How'd you do? Did you do what we talked about? How was it impactful to you? How was it not? What did you notice? And really that's the key to mindfulness, is being aware and noticing. And I like to say it's called being aware of being aware. And so you're not just saying, oh gosh, I'm stressed right now. You're saying, what does this stress feel like to me? Is it an energy? And is it heat inside of me? Is it, the thoughts that are going through my mind? Are they negative? Are they positive? How is that impacting how I'm showing up to my next committee meeting? So it really just allows you to take the minute to be aware of being aware. And it was really great. And I'll tell you what's come out of that time with that small group is now we still are connecting. And especially during this time of COVID, they reached out to me and said, Erin, we need to keep this up. I need to check in. So an accountability with someone else is really a powerful tool. Once you've kind of figured out a couple of things you want to do, but maybe you learn from each other, but then you check in and you say, gosh, this was a great week. Or this is what I learned about myself this week. So I just wanted to share that with you. I'm excited that we're talking about this here in this space, and I'm not giving up on how we talk about it more in the workplace. And I'm hoping we can do that more in Wyoming across all of our workplaces. So that's why I'm here.
Awesome. I also have to say I really enjoyed Erin's kiddo stealing her computer screen and running through the house, because it looked a lot like how stress feels to me. So Erin, thanks for that reminder of what chaos feels like. That was awesome. Okay, so I think multiple Erins, Erin Taylor, I think next we're going to show the video. Does that sound good? Okay.
Yep. We're going to show you a video. And I'll introduce it real quick. Can I do that before we?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
The video that you're going to see is something that it's one of my very, very favorite ways of thinking, I guess is the best way that I see it. It comes from this book. It's called The 15 Commitments of Conscious Leadership. As you can see, it's dog-eared. It's got page markers in it. It's written in. I love this book. And I saw the main author, Jim Dethmer, speak at a conference, and then I attended his special sessions, and I've had professional coaching from this group. This concept of this line right here is what you're going to see in the video. So it's something that I want to share. It's on their website. Take a look at this video, and then I think after that, we're going to break up into our small groups again. Okay. So I'm excited for it. Get the book if you're interested. It's a powerful tool.
Awesome. And one thing that Erin sometimes says about being aware is not holding judgment over your thoughts. And if in this screen share you happen to see my desktop, I would also ask that you withhold judgment from that experience, because it's a little crazy right now. Okay, awesome. So I will share this. Great. Can you all see that?
Yep.
Okay, perfect.
Location, location, location. Brought to you by the Conscious Leadership Group. Find them on the web at www.conscious.is. Animation by Graham Franks. www.grahamfranks.com. One question that conscious leaders ask themselves over and over is, where am I? To support leaders in locating themselves as they ask the question, where am I? We offer this tool, a line, a simple black line. At any moment, all leaders and all people are either above the line or below the line. Our location describes how we're being with what is occurring in our life right now. If we're above the line, we are open, curious, and committed to learning. If we are below the line, we are closed, defensive, and committed to being right. Stop right now and simply ask yourself, where am I? In this now moment, am I above the line or below the line? Typically, when people are below the line, they believe certain things about the world. For example, they believe there is not enough. It could be that there's not enough money, or time, or space, or energy, or love. People below the line also believe that their story about the situation is right. People below the line also believe that there is a threat out there. Something or someone is threatening their desire for approval, control, or security. And people below the line see the situation as serious. The deeper below the line they are, the more serious things look. People below the line tend to behave certain ways as well. They tend to cling to an opinion, find fault and blame, gossip, explain, rationalize and justify, get overwhelmed, and avoid conflict or pursue conflict for the sake of winning. When people are above the line, they believe that learning and growing are more important than being right. They believe that all people and circumstances are their allies, here for their growth. They believe that from a distance, almost everything is funny. People above the line live in curiosity, listen deeply, speak unarguably, question all their beliefs, and live a life of play. Now, knowing what you know about being above or below the line, where are you? One thing to know as you consider this question: we are hardwired to go below the line. Literally, our brain is programmed to perceive threat, and when it does, a chemical cocktail courses through our veins, and we go below the line. This reaction was designed to help us survive in the presence of a real threat to our physical survival. An issue for modern-day leaders is that often our brains can't tell the difference between a threat to our physical survival and a threat to our ego or identity. We react and get defensive when we experience a threat to our ego. So in many ways, being below the line is natural and normal. But when we are below the line, we're not in a state, literally brain state, of high creativity, collaboration, innovation, and relational connection. We're simply trying to survive. Leaders today can't thrive if they're in survival mode. So the first activity of conscious leadership is location, location, location. In this now moment, where am I? Telling ourselves and others the truth about our current location begins the great conversation.
Awesome. Oh, I love that video so much. It's so good.
Isn't that fantastic? Location, location, location. This was probably, I'd say, one of the more powerful weeks we had during the legislature, because, and even since we've talked about this, I am thinking about the line. And boy, I was below the line in this meeting, and it was really hard for me to get to that point of approaching something with curiosity. But I think it's what I'd like to stress, and this is what I learned from Jim Dethmer when he talked about this, is that it's okay if you're below the line. It's okay. Just noticing and being aware that that's where you are is really the first step to changing that catabolic energy, which isn't creative, but maybe needed for that one certain instance or circumstance. And that being awareness is what helps you get to a state of anabolic energy where you can, you give yourself the grace, right? Which is really important. And non-judgment, which Mandy, thank you for reminding me that is so important, is the non-judgment part, is just be aware, notice it and accept it, not accept it, but just be aware. So what we talked about during the session at the Capitol was the newly renovated Capitol, especially in the basement part. There's all these really cool, like they look like chair rails or whatnot, but there's horizontal lines all over that building. And so it's a really cool reminder that, gosh, I'm just going to remember, where am I? Location, location, location. Where am I, above or below the line? So just think about that when you're at home or when you're at work, maybe dealing with your family, whatever the situation might be. Are you above the line or are you below the line? We talk about this with our kids too at our house. And it's something my husband and I refer to with each other. Gosh, sounds like you're below the line. Oh my gosh, am I ever below the line? So it's really simple, but I think it's really powerful. And they have more videos that really augment that concept on their website, and it's all open to the public. So I encourage you to look at some more of those videos as well. So now I'd like to hear some of your reactions. And are we going to do this in the big group, or are we going to break up again?
We can go either way. I mean, I think we're small enough that it might be possible to share it again, or to have just general big group discussion of folks who want to share. The other thing I was going to maybe toss out there too is that video moves quickly, and it's a little bit hard to sort of track as you're going. So the other thing we could do, if you want, is to watch it again and have folks jot down a few observations or phrases that really stick with them, that they want to kind of carry forward. Or we can talk and folks can watch it at the end. I have no preference. Yeah, I got a yes please from Mary. Anyone else feel like watching it again with a pen in their hand would help them to write a takeaway? Okay, I'm getting some thumbs ups and nods. So if you didn't want to watch it, you can now have 3 minutes to go refill your coffee cup. So this is like a win-win for everyone here. So I will go back and share the screen again, and we'll play the video again, and do just, I think, jot down a particular phrase, maybe a phrase below the line that resonates for you of I've been in this below the line space, and something if you feel above the line of, oh, I have been using humor, or I have been, playful, and then let's come back and sort of talk about it. So it'll be a little self-reflection and what kind of lands. So